This is From Justin to Kane, a podcast where Mike Robertson and Bob LaRue watch one critically acclaimed film and one terrible film and talk about how they are the same. Welcome, everybody, to From Justin to Kane. We're back to our regular programming. It's just Mike and myself this week, so sorry if you're disappointed. No guest. I guess we have two guests, and those are the two movies we're going to talk about. What are they, Mike?
Jeez.
How's that for an intro, huh? Seamless.
Oh, so seamless. So the two movies that we're talking about this week, one of them is the good movie, that is Midsommar by Ari Aster, came out in 2019.
I hated.
Which Bob hated. I like that movie.
A little too spooky, a little too upsetting for me.
Oh, yeah, right. I forgot that you're a wuss. You're scared.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't help. You said, dude, it's a great rom-com. You're really going to enjoy it. There's a lot of laughs and a lot of love. And I was like, oh, yeah, I love Florence Pugh. This would be like Little Women in Sweden. I was wrong.
You were wrong.
Horrifying. You misled me.
Yeah, and then the other movie is called Into the Night by John Landis, and it came out sometime in the 80s.
1985.
That's what I was thinking, yeah. It felt like an 85er.
Yeah, like a midway through the decade kind of thing.
Yeah.
Were you alive in 1985?
Yes, I was.
Did you see this film in theaters? In your diaper, I assume?
No, I don't remember the first movie I saw in theaters.
Mikey in a diaper at a movie, am I right, or what?
Yes, you're right, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, terrible film. It's pretty bad.
Terrible movie. Yeah. This is John Landis's post Twilight Zone output. This was not like a high point for sure.
No, he pretty much fell from grace after the accident, which I will get into because he was facing litigation during the production of this movie.
Well,
he was
not
forced
wasting time. Tell us about Into the Night.
Okay, well, shit. We're not beating around the bush, are we, Mike?
Also, worth pointing out that this movie has Jeff Goldblum in it.
Yes. Why is that worth pointing out?
It's because he's fun.
I guess it's also worth pointing out that Michelle Pfeiffer's in it, as well as David Bowie. Yeah,
David Bowie, Michelle Pfeiffer, Jeff Goldblum really has. When I saw that, I was like, oh, I'll watch this movie. This is going to be good.
So I did quite a bit of research on the trial, which took 9 months, and everyone who was accused was acquitted, including John Landis. But from all the testimonials I read, it pretty much is cut and dried that this is John Landis' fault. He was a real shithead and killed Vic Morrow and 2 kids. This movie was made after that happened, and it's crazy that all of these celebs were like, fuck yeah, let's be in John's new movie after he killed a bunch of people, including like David Bowie. Like David Bowie's like, I'll be in your movie. Jeff Goldblum's like, I'll be in your movie. Frank Oz, David Cronenberg, like there's crazy cameos in this film. It's a real filmmaker's film, but not in the sense of how it's made. In the literal, like per capita, there's a lot of filmmakers in the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
The list is very long, and it's all over the place. It's like B-movie directors from the 50s all the way to like David Cronenberg, who is at his apex, who also made a Jeff Goldblum film.
That's correct, he did, yeah.
But yeah, okay, I'll get into it. So it was a 60-day shooting schedule, and 3 weeks in, he was forced to go on trial for manslaughter.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then basically he was in and out of court and making this movie at the same time, from what I gathered.
Wow, that's so that is okay. Because I was like, when we did this movie, I was like, well, this is a stinker. This might be a bad episode or whatever. But then no, this is already interesting stuff.
Yeah, well,
the making of the movie is way more interesting than the movie itself. That's for sure.
I guess the other thing too we should maybe bring up, just because of timing and such, is we watched these films 4 weeks ago. And then we did all the Halloween episodes. But since we've watched these films and we picked these to be the 2 that we do, we had the incident on Rust with Alec Baldwin, obviously, that happened about like 2 weeks ago from the release of this episode. So it's just interesting. Making films very dangerous, never worth it. Movies are stupid. sort of podcast about movies, but here we are. So anyways.
Yeah, always shameful when someone has to die for a pretend.
Yeah, it's. I think there's nothing more absurd, truly. Yeah. But here we are. Also, there is a very aggressive man with a leaf blower outside, so that may or may not be, some diegetic sound for y'all.
Yeah, well, as long as you pointed out it's diegetic.
Yeah, exactly. You can get away with anything if you label it. You know what I mean? But anyways, so this film's fascinating. So he was in and out of court while they were making this movie, and so it was a 9-month court case for manslaughter. He was acquitted. The pilot was acquitted. The pyrotechnic guy expert was acquitted, and so was the executive producer, George Folsey Jr. They were all acquitted after 9 months on trial. But then there were a bunch of subsequent trials with like Warner Brothers and like the different production companies. And basically like Vic Morrow's family got a huge settlement out of court financially, as well as the parents of the 2 children who passed away. They also got a huge settlement. But that doesn't negate the fact that basically John Landis and the pyrotechnics guy got away with murder.
Well, yeah. Also, I think it's worth pointing out that not everybody knows what happened. I think we're just talking about what happened on the Twilight Zone movie as if everybody knows. But
so Steven Spielberg made a Twilight Zone feature film, which was basically based off of 4 episodes of the Twilight Zone. So it's like 4 vignettes, and each one's directed by a different person. So John Landis did one, George Miller did one, Steven Spielberg did one, and I think the guy who did Gremlins did the 4th one, the 4th installment in it, whatever his name is. I can't remember. They were all kind of in their heyday. This was 1983 or something. But they were all at their peak. But this was Steven Spielberg's baby, and he basically gave free run for all the directors, and they got to like make their own episode that went within this feature film. But during the production, so 3 of them went off without a hitch, but John Landis is involved time travel with and it was starring Vic Morrow, who's Jennifer Jason Leigh's dad. And what happened, basically he's like in modern time, and then he goes into like World War II, and then this is all from memory. I saw this movie a long time ago. Also, it's interesting that they used the stuff in the movie anyways, even though he died. I think that's a wild choice.
That is wild. That's what's so interesting about this Rust situation with Alec Baldwin that's happening kind of currently. The investigation is like, are they going to put this movie out? Are they going to finish it? What's going to happen? I feel like the right thing to do would for them to just stop making the movie and for Alec Baldwin to just retire. Not because he did anything maliciously.
If something horrific like that happens, don't finish the project. Like it's just no one wins in that scenario. No.
Also, the other director was Joe Dante, so it was the Gremlins guy.
Joe Dante, that's right. So Joe Dante, Steven Spielberg, George Miller, and John Landis were all really, really good friends, and they were all kind of in their apex. Obviously, Spielberg and George Miller are doing just fine. Joe Dante is hurting a little bit, hasn't made a lot of great stuff since Gremlins, and John Landis has just gone down the shitter, obviously. Mm-hmm. We've all seen Blues Brothers 2000.
We have?
Horrific movie.
I think we have.
It's so bad. We should do it on the podcast.
Honestly, I've never seen the first Blues Brothers movie.
What? It's so good.
I also got to say,
one of my favorite films.
Every time that the Blues Brothers came on the original SNL, I didn't care for it.
They were not good on SNL.
It was stupid. I was going to say, I'm respecting, the memory of John Belushi, but it's like, who cares? You guys are. It's a comedy show, and it's just because I read a biography of John Belushi.
Yeah,
and he was just super, super into the blues to the point where he was like, "Let's just make a character that we can sing the blues on TV."
And Dan Aykroyd was like an old disc jockey, and he loved music and the blues as well.
Yeah,
and I think they were just both nerds, and they found a vehicle in Saturday Night Live to just sing non-funny blues songs.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first album they released, the one with the blue border, is not funny. It's just like a run-of-the-mill blues album. Exactly. I will say, Blues Brothers, the film, is not funny, but it's very entertaining.
Yeah, there's some action scenes.
Yeah, like the car chases are epic. I think the musical numbers are really fun, but there are a bunch of jokes that don't land. But it's like, I want to see a car chase through a shopping mall. That's just fucking epic.
Supposedly Mr. T is in that scene.
In the
car scene
mall?
In the shopping mall, yeah.
Oh.
He makes a cameo.
Interesting.
As just like an extra, I think.
So a huge...
pre-fame.
Right. A big thing with John Landis is he loves cameos. Like, he's just a huge, huge fan of cameos. And so Blues Brothers is riddled with them. But also, he's good buddies with Frank Oz. And Frank Oz is in all of his movies in tiny roles, including this one. But anyways...
Wait, hold on a second. Sorry, just when I was doing a little bit of side research.
Yeah, I could see the bright light on your face. You're Googling, you dirty reviewer.
Just because I was trying to remember if there was a Blues Brothers video game.
Mm-hmm.
And there was.
Ooh.
Many.
On what system?
So there was one. The original one came out on like the PC in like the 80s.
Yeah.
There was, or in the 90s. And then there was a Blues Brothers Super Nintendo game.
Ooh.
And then, get this, there was a Blues Brothers 2000 N64 game.
I would play that.
You would play that? It unsurprisingly reviewed extremely poorly.
Well, I can't even imagine what the gameplay would be.
Supposedly, it is a 3D platformer like Super Mario 64, I think.
Oh, okay.
I believe, like, I can't see any pictures of it, but on this article I'm looking at. But
is there a free simulator or what? Like a N64 simulator, but it's like, yeah, you can just play the Blues Brothers 2000 for free. Download this.
No. I was just looking on Wikipedia. Yeah, it looks like complete garbage. But it is like a platform like Super Mario 64, which is wild to think about.
Well, that's just such a classic money grab. They're like, how do we make a game out of this? I guess platformers, because that's all we have the technology for, which is stupid.
It was made by Titus, which I believe was the company that made the Superman 64 game.
That's right. I believe you're right. Another home run.
So we've gone really off the rails here.
I think that's what people want. Listen, I'm having a latte. I'm fucking jacked up right now.
Does John Landis get like any of the money from Blues Brothers 2000, the N64 game? Did he get any of, the residuals?
Probably. So you know what's crazy? Even after all this shit, in the late 90s, he is offered Men in Black. And guess what he does? He turns it down because he thinks they're ripping off the Blues Brothers. And he's too proud. How fucked up is that? Even, almost 20 years later, they're like, let's hire this guy for a huge franchise, because why not? Even though he murdered some people.
Yeah, he murdered some people, right?
With a helicopter.
That's
not a casual way to murder.
Insane way to kill somebody.
Yeah. Well, 3 people, if we're going to get into semantics. He killed 3 people.
And we will.
2 of them, minors. Just children.
Unbelievable.
Who were also working illegally.
Even more unbelievable. Just thinking, the more I think about what happened on the Twilight Zone movie, of all movies also.
Yeah.
The more I just can't believe that it actually happened. And it's been coming up a lot in the last couple of weeks.
Absolutely. Well, and history repeats itself, right? So after the Twilight movie incident, the Warner Brothers, the DGC, or the Directors Guild, DGA, Directors Guild of America, and one other union, some sort of film labor union. I don't think it was IATSE, but something else. They all created SAG created all these safety measures, and accidents went down substantially. But within the next 10 years, there were 8 more deaths. Mm-hmm. Just random deaths on sets. There's no excuse for that. It's silly.
Yeah, and you only ever hear about it when it's like an actor.
Yeah, well, I mean, crew die all the time, and nobody gives a shit. But it's like, famous person died. And now we're upset.
In this case, famous person murdered somebody.
Yeah,
like a super, super famous person murdered somebody.
Literally as famous as it gets.
Yeah.
And it's just absolutely horrific that this happens. And again, it's all for make-believe.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's just, it blows my mind that they used John Landis' segment in the Twilight Zone movie.
Yeah.
So Vic Morrow's still in the movie. And then there's just like an abrupt end to the like the short film within the film. It's so stupid. But another thing that happened was Steven Spielberg, who was the executive producer of The Twilight Zone and directed one of the segments, he and John Landis were really good friends, and they haven't spoken since the incident. They just like friends off, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's like Steven Spielberg being like, you're a piece of shit, or if he's like, wow, this is terrible branding for me. I'm the DreamWorks guy, you know?
Probably all of the above.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, but, I don't know. I feel like if you go through, I mean, he wasn't, was he on the set that day?
Steven Spielberg? No, he wasn't.
Oh, okay.
No.
Because, yeah, I feel like if you were, there's like a traumatic experience linking you, then you might just be like, all right, we don't need to see each other again.
Yeah, yeah. I don't even think Steven Spielberg was aware, like, of how dangerous John Landis' segment was. John Landis, so he was repeatedly warned about the helicopter being too close to the actors and too close to the pyrotechnics, and he just basically said, I don't give a shit. What's the worst that could happen? We'll lose the helicopter. The pilot was like, I don't want to do this. This is super dangerous. There are multiple camera people in the helicopter who can hear over the radio John Landis screaming at them to get closer and closer to the actors and to the pyrotechnics. And then on one of the takes, the guy detonated the thing and it blew off the rear rotor. Completely off. And then the helicopter basically started spinning out of control and went sideways. And immediately, like, I guess this is a trigger warning, decapitated Vic Morrow. And then one of the kids that he was holding and crushed the other one. They all died instantly.
Yeah.
How fucked is that?
Totally.
And this was a few miles outside of LA.
Yeah.
So, like, just a lot of shit went wrong, and it's absolutely horrific. And, like, the parents were lied to. They were never told there were going to be explosions, gunfire, or helicopters. Just noise. That's all they were warned about is, you know, just a bunch of dicey shit that happened, and that negligence led to a horrific incident. And then,
how does John Landis get away with it?
I don't know.
He did it maliciously, obviously, but
Hollywood lawyers, man. I mean, I think that's what it comes down to. That and money, because he was acquitted. He got off scot-free.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could sell that. You could sell that as an accident, even though he knew the precautions.
Yeah,
and ignored them.
Well, I think the same thing's going to happen with Rust. To be honest with you, right? Even though there was some serious negligence, they're just going to blow it off. But anyways, and then so John Landis continued to have a career after this.
That's wild.
Trading Places, Coming to America, this movie, Into the Night. I almost forgot the name of it. Lol, it's so bad. Yeah, and he was dealing with the litigation and the trial during the making of this movie, which is like bananas.
Right. Yeah, it's wild because like Elaine May made Ishtar.
Yeah.
And it was just bad and it bombed. And then they were like, you can't make another movie. Whereas John Landis murders 3 people.
Yeah.
On like, and gets to keep making movies.
Yes.
Like what? Yeah.
If that isn't the patriarchy, I don't know what is.
I don't know what is.
You can literally get away with murder and still have a career. But you make one just like bad movie.
Yeah.
And you're dead in the water, you know? And Elaine May, of all people, who's like, you know, she's famous and has made some great stuff.
She just can't stop making stuff.
Yeah. So this film was profoundly unremarkable in every way. It was made for $8 million, made 7.5. So it almost broke even. The reviews basically were lukewarm at best. Not a lot of super negative reviews, but no raving reviews either. Just everyone who saw it was like, that was okay. And I think it was definitely
a movie.
I think the best way to describe this film is how unremarkable it is. It isn't remarkably bad, and it is not remarkably good. It's just this like very dull film.
Yeah.
And then above all of that are the insane A-listers who are in it. Like you know, David Bowie was at his apex.
Yeah.
And he's in it as some weird assassin guy. French? Was he French?
Something like that, yeah.
He was European. Vaguely European.
Yeah, vaguely European, that's right, yeah.
Also you get John Landis starring in the film, pretending to be Iranian, which is fun.
Right.
Yeah. I was like, is that John Landis? And I was like, oh my God, that's John Landis. And you see John Landis doing like clown.
Yeah.
Like Abbott and Costello clown very poorly. And I think it's fascinating. Again, John Landis killed 3 people. And then he put himself in this movie as a comedy relief.
Yeah, that's
he just made some wild
not
decisions.
very self-aware.
This whole film. Yeah. I think he's deluded. He's just like a crazy guy.
Seems to run in the Landis family.
Yeah, well, I know you love Max Landis.
I love him. Yeah.
You really adore the man.
Yeah, I was super into his rants about pop culture he'd post on YouTube way back in the day.
Well, when your dad is, the guy who made Blues Brothers, I guess, your opinion is more important than someone else's.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what it comes down to. But yeah, this film is very silly, not self-aware, and some wild choices were made that are just kind of like disturbing. It's also a really violent movie.
Yeah.
Very violent and not funny. And the comedy, like John Landis is trying to emulate, and like Abbott and Costello is on a TV in the movie. Like you can tell the influence is slapstick, like old American slapstick.
Mm-hmm.
But it like trying to be, contemporary at the same time, and it's so clumsy.
Yeah, it's always weird when they make these movies that are comedies,
mm-hmm.
and they're not that funny, or there's no jokes in them.
I think you described.
But they're still sold as a comedy.
I think you described John Landis's whole career. Because Animal House was his big breakout. It was a big breakout for a lot of people, as well as like National Lampoon's first foray into film.
Mm-hmm.
And it is like a comedy classic.
Right.
And there are things in it that you could say are funny, but it is not that funny of a film.
No.
And then Blues Brothers, not a funny film.
Definitely not.
And American Werewolf in London, not a scary film. I'd say, Coming to America is not funny either. Trading Places is not very funny. None of these movies are funny, yet he made a whole string of 80s comedies that are heralded as classics, and they're all shitty.
Yeah. Also, like, this might be a hot take.
Oh. Spitfire, my friend.
Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah. Not funny.
What's the appeal of that guy? Like,
I don't know. He's not funny.
I respect him for his SNL work.
Yeah.
But just like rarely have I seen him in a movie where he is funny, and he's always in comedies. Like he really doesn't make jokes or say anything or do anything funny, but we're just supposed to laugh at him because he's there.
I'm gonna out-heat your hot take, okay? I don't even think he was funny on SNL.
Okay, wow, that is a hot take.
That's the hottest take there ever was. I was obsessed with early SNL when I was a kid, and I bought the first 5 seasons on the DVD.
Yeah,
yeah. And I love that cast. I love that cast. They're amazing. And I thought Dan Aykroyd was kind of the weakest guy. He was the most obnoxious. He had a mustache for almost all of it.
Yes.
And, like Fish in a Blender guy, Butt Crack Plumber guy, they're not funny.
Trying to think of a character he did that.
Prove me wrong.
He played Julia Child. That was kind of funny.
I don't remember that, but it doesn't sound that funny.
Was that the Fish in the Blender thing?
No, he's just like a salesman trying to sell a blender, and he puts like a trout into it.
Oh, right. But then he also had the toy salesman.
Yeah, he did a bunch of sales stuff where he just talked real fast.
I think that was why people thought he was funny back then.
That was his whole...
He talked
It's
fast.
like Chevy Chase falling into chairs and falling out of chairs, and it's like, wow, this is fucking funny. It's like, Chevy Chase, not that funny.
My Girl, was he funny in that? That was actually a drama.
Oh, is that a movie?
Ghostbusters? Yeah, that was a movie.
He's not funny. Ghostbusters.
My Girl is a movie with Macaulay Culkin where he dies getting stung by bees.
That sounds hysterical.
Yeah. Let's see.
I'd say the thing that Dan Aykroyd is funniest in is Ancient Aliens, the docu-series.
Oh, really?
Because Dan Aykroyd's like a huge fucking alien guy. He loves aliens. He's just nuts about aliens and vodka.
So he's in Into the Night.
Yes, he is, briefly. Yeah.
And he's in Twilight Zone, the movie.
Yeah. And he's in Trading Places.
Did you ever see The Great Outdoors?
Yes. Not a good film.
I think he's like a comedic straight man who's also can be funny but never does.
Yeah. Well, because John Candy in The Great Outdoors steals the show.
Did you see My Stepmother is an Alien?
No.
That's an interesting film because it is him and she was married to Alec Baldwin, Kim Basinger.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So it has Dan Aykroyd, Kim Basinger, and a young Allison Hannigan playing the daughter.
Oh wow.
But Dan Aykroyd is, he's the first name on the poster, but he makes zero comedic impact on the film. Kim Basinger is actually doing kind of like a very delicate balance between being like a sex object in the film.
Yeah.
And also being very funny.
Oh, interesting.
For someone who's
I can't
not
picture her being funny.
Well, but she's
good in it.
I mean, it's a terrible film. It's a very bad film, but she's
just being objectified.
She carries the film, single-handedly carries this movie.
Wow.
While being sexy and funny, sometimes in the same moment. And Dan Aykroyd does he just is there to gawk at her, I guess, or to be dumbfounded.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of insane. We should keep talking about Into the Night if there's anything left to say.
There's only a little bit more, but I just want to go over the cameos. So obviously John Landis is like a filmmaker's filmmaker in that he puts filmmakers in his films as he's filmmaking them. How was that for a sentence?
That was an amazing sentence.
Yeah. I do. Oh, I just saw a car drive down the wrong way in front of my place. I love that. I see it about 3 times a day. Anyways, okay, so Rick Baker, famous. He did the werewolf in American Werewolf in London. Jack Arnold, who is like a B film director. Paul Bartel also. David Cronenberg. Jonathan Demme. Jim Henson. Lawrence Kasdan.
Wow.
There's about 20 other cameos, but I didn't know who they were, so I didn't bother saying them. But Jonathan Demme, who would go on to do Silence of the Lambs. Jim Henson, obviously Sesame Street or whatever. No, The Muppets, lol.
Both.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, okay. And then Lawrence Kasdan, who wrote Empire Strikes Back and also the more recent films and has directed many films. And they all have cameos, which is insane. Not to mention David Bowie, I would say his is a cameo because he's so sparse. But when he's in there, like a dirty shirt.
It kind of reminded me of The Third Man.
And I'd say John Landis is also his own cameo. Appropriating culture, being like vaguely Middle Eastern, and also a criminal, but also doing Abbott and Costello slapstick the whole time. Really just a terrible film on so many fronts. And just a profound level of mediocrity sort of throughout. This is at Jeff Goldblum at his steamiest. I'd say the 80s. The 80s were sort of the apex. I mean, he's hot now. Don't get me wrong. He's a real silver fox, real hot daddy, one might say. But
zaddy.
Exactly what Mike said. But this is sort of his apex of sex appeal. Oh, there's also 8 playmates in the film. They have cameos who are all on the cover of Playboy. I don't know their names or who they were, but I read that there's a bunch of playmates, and then it lists
Playboy. Playboy, what's that? I don't know what that is. I've never looked at anything like that.
Oh, Mike, don't lie to me. The listeners know you're a little pervy perv.
Wild, yeah. The Wikipedia page for this movie, I looked at it briefly, and it's mostly about the cameos.
Yeah, it's exclusively about the cameos because there's nothing else to talk about.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, the fact that he was on trial during the movie is one of the only interesting parts about the whole film.
Yeah,
and but Jeff Goldblum, you're right. He was a zaddy in this film. Also, when did he start talking like a weirdo? Because he doesn't really talk like a weirdo in this movie, or in like The Fly, or his other '80s movies.
No, his cadence, even in he's not weird in Jurassic Park.
No, Jurassic Park is where it starts. I think.
Well, yeah, but it's like I'd say it's similar to. There's a whole conversation to be had about Al Pacino. There's like a series of actors who like in their early career are just normal, and then they just lean into something. I don't know what it is. Because Jeff Goldblum leans into this offbeat cadence. Like he's always scatting with his vernacular, which is like a really weird thing. I almost can't listen to him. Like I listened to him on Mark Maron's podcast, and I had to shut it off.
Yeah, and we never got to find out who his guys were.
I was like, ooh, yucky. I can't do this. But that's also what's given him his career. I think he wouldn't have had as great a career if he didn't have such a weird way of yakking. And Al Pacino, I think, is the same thing. Like the hoo-ah. We've talked about this before.
Yeah. He won the Oscar for Scent of a Woman, and that turned.
He just played that blind guy in every movie since.
He came out after that, right? And then he was like, got a great ass, and that was
and your head's way up it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because you see him in Dog Day Afternoon, and it's like, oh, he's just a guy. He's sweaty like everyone else.
Well, also we talked about this a little. We talked about this a little bit with The Godfather. Yeah, his performance in that movie is so subtle, and then the one time his character explodes in the film is so impactful because it's so out of character, or we're to believe that at least. And then like that one split second in The Godfather is the entirety of his career post Scent of a Woman, pretty much.
Yeah.
Anyway,
shout out to Al Pacino. I guess just a similarity I got to get out of the way. Both films, Midsommar. I know we haven't talked about Midsommar yet. How exciting!
And we never will.
This is such a juicy episode. But I guess there's two things. Both characters die in both films, and there's infidelity in both films.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Just I had to get that out of the way because I felt like we haven't done a similarity yet.
Oh yeah, right. I forgot what this podcast was.
And we're like we're over half an hour deep. Anyways, that's pretty much it. I did research, about 9 minutes of research. I was late for the Zoom call. Mike can attest to this. And literally everything on the internet is just about cameos or the trial, which I think is a testament to how mediocre this film is. Yeah. That everything about the film is not about the film itself. It's about the stuff around the film. Right. Like, isn't it crazy? There's that quick shot of Jonathan Demme.
That is crazy.
Yeah, again, he's a filmmaker's filmmaker. Puts filmmakers in his filmmaking. And he's a murderer.
Yes.
Let's talk about your movie, Midsommar.
So Midsommar is directed by Ari Aster, who did Hereditary.
Yes.
Which
both films I hate.
I've never seen Hereditary.
What?
No.
Oh, you should. If you like Midsommar, you like Hereditary.
Yeah, no, I liked Midsommar, and I was like, oh, I could totally see why everybody liked Hereditary based on the trailers, and then, just being able to cobble it together in my mind.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, this movie was originally pitched to Ari Aster by two Swedish guys from a Swedish film company who were like, can you make a slasher film set amongst Swedish cultists? Like someone pitched the idea to him, this other film company.
And I was Swedish people.
And they were Swedish people, so you'd think that, this would have been an American, idea saying, and then just being like, Swedish people are weird, hey? But no, it's Swedish people being like, hey, Swedish people are weird, hey?
I was, the whole time I had two thoughts. I was like, I feel really gross and I hate that I have to watch this. I hate you, Mike, for recommending it. And the second thing was, does this piss off Sweden?
I'm sure some people were, definitely annoyed by
it really paints a bizarro, because it's a very foreign look at Sweden.
Well, there's
a very we're American. Sweden's weird.
There's a similarity for you right there. Both movies have foreign cultures represented as absurd stereotypes.
Right. Hey, that's a great one. That's actually a good deep one. Nice.
Yeah. Well, the Iranian characters in Into the Night. One of them, which is portrayed by John Landis, inexplicably, while he was on trial for murder for decapitating someone with a helicopter.
Wow, when you say it like that, Mike.
just driving from set to the court or from the court to the set.
He's in brown face.
Yeah.
At the trial, he's like, it's a living. I'm making a movie.
Yeah.
He's not Italian. I don't know why.
Oh, no, he is.
Oh. That's right. He is Italian.
Yeah, his family changed his name from Landino or
to
something.
Landis.
To Landis. Yeah.
Landis. I'm not gonna make the joke. Anyways, okay, continue.
Landis helicopter?
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Yeah.
And then you said it with more seriousness and yeah. Anyways,
He could not land this helicopter.
Wow.
Too soon? Question mark.
Well, no, it's
Every tragedy is a tragedy.
Forever.
Yeah.
There's no expiration date on tragedy.
No.
That's a
powerful quote. Yeah, put it on a shirt.
Put that on a card, Hallmark, and give it to people.
We should get from Justin to Kane merch. It has like the from Justin to Kane like logo, and then it says, "There's no expiry date on a tragedy," or whatever you said.
Yeah, there's no expiration date for tragedy.
Yeah.
That'd be so weird.
Or just a hat that says "There's no expiration date for a tragedy." People are like, "Why do you wear that shirt?" It's like, "Oh, it's from a fun movie podcast I like."
That's so fucked. I feel like everything we do is meta, but like not in a good way or like a cost-effective way. There's just like it's always a reach, you know.
But in like a Facebook VR kind of way.
Ooh, you're so topical today. I love it. Spicy, man. Nothing but hot takes from your gullet. Okay. Did anyone die making Midsommar?
As far as I know, nobody died making Midsommar, and nobody was on trial for murdering someone on their previous movie. So,
I thought that was going to be a similarity, but it turns out it's hard to find a movie.
Yeah, there was only so many.
Yeah.
So back to the making of the film. So the movie was pitched to him by these Swedish dudes. So Ari Aster was like, I don't really have an idea for how to make this. But then he went through a relationship. He went through a breakup.
Oh, yeah.
And then he was like, I'm going to make this about a deteriorating relationship as like the central conceit.
Classic.
That the movie revolves around, which, works.
Yeah.
The movie was budgeted for $9 million and it made almost $50 million. So,
wow.
A big hit.
That's the thing, like in this modern landscape, only the genre film, and I think specifically horror, can be made cheaply but make lots of money. Whereas your normal like kitchen sink drama, it's like, oh, we made it for $18 million and it earned $12 million. You know what I mean? Whereas like Get Out, it's like $3 million, and it made like 150.
Well, I guess the horror genre is not so doesn't feel so bad about paying people, less than standard, I guess.
Well, no, I like, there's this whole conceit that it's like you either have to make a film for less than $1 million for it to actually make money, or it needs to be almost 100 million or more and a franchise to make money. But anything in between is basically hooped because of the modern market has created this huge divide. And really, it's the cinema goers' fault.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are.
It's like I just want to see Black Widow. I just want to see, Florence Pugh and Scarlett Johansson fight people. Okay,
anyway, back to Midsommar. We keep getting distracted. So, a little fun fact about the flower dress that Florence Pugh's character wears at the end, the iconic flower dress.
Mm-hmm.
It's just stuffed with like bags of pillows, and then the flowers were just kind of like sitting on this, she just was basically just surrounded by pillows, but she was in the sunset, she was out in the sun, so it was extremely hot.
Sweating her bag off.
She was sweating the bags off, yeah. So, but there's a bunch of like mini fans also under the flower dress.
Nice.
Kind of keeping her cool. So fun little fact. And then they auctioned off a bunch of props for a firefighter's charity, I believe. The flower dress had 10,000 silk flowers and was sold to the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures for $65,000. So
wow.
So if you want that, that's where it is. You can do a heist.
We should plan a heist and steal that flower dress. I just want the pillows. I need a new pillow.
Just
best
sleeping.
Place to get it is it from that dress.
I mean, why do we not just have why do we have beds? Why don't we not just have clothes that are like made out of bed, you know?
And then you can sleep anywhere and everywhere.
You can sleep anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like a suit that's like a sleeping bag. You can just sit and sleep, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds great. I guess that's what a neck pillow is.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, you could use a neck pillow anywhere. Fuck, you're set.
Yeah, I know.
You're golden.
Back to the movie.
Yeah. Mike, you're really derailing this whole thing, dude. Come on. Be more professional.
Supposedly the rituals in the movie were based on historical fact in Sweden. So
Jeez.
The jumping off of the cliff was a custom that existed in Sweden not even that long ago.
Oh yeah, like the 90s?
Maybe like that, yeah. It didn't say. It was an interview with one of the people in the movie, one of the historical researchers, and they were talking about how old people would just jump off cliffs when they got too old. They were basically put to sleep, as it were, you know?
Yeah, I guess that beats hospice for some people, I guess.
Exactly. And the same with the oversized mallet that they used to like finish the job as.
Oh, God. It was so grisly. I hated that. No pun intended because of the bear suit.
Yeah, but supposedly they were based in historical fact about Sweden.
Right.
So
I have a question. What?
Sure.
So that one guy who was hanging from the ceiling in the shack, and his like lungs were still expanding. What was that all about? What?
I don't know.
Was he still alive?
No.
But
I doubt it.
But he was like breathing.
Then he was.
But how? His whole back was exposed. You could see his like spine and rib cage, and his lungs were like outside of him, but like contracting and expanding.
I don't know. Maybe he was in some sort of liminal state. For that? I do not know.
Oh, okay.
I only have one more little fun fact.
What is it?
They did a long process of trial and error. This is what Ari Aster says about finding the nuance for the mushroom trip that they take.
Oh, yeah.
All the drugs. So they just tried to figure out the best way to represent it. And he had done a lot of mushrooms in his life, plus also a lot of the cast members had. So they just kind of had a big mushroom meeting to talk about the best way to like represent that.
Yeah. How did you feel about it?
Don't think I've ever done mushrooms.
Oh, okay. I've done them, and I was like, I buy this. But it's like, I feel like for like casual drugs in movies, they always fuck it up because it's like, oh, this character smoked weed and now everything's neon and like dragging, and it's like, that's not really it. And like, you know, the depiction was like subtle enough for the mushrooms, but it was not like an accurate representation. But I think it like implied it well enough. Yeah, exactly. Without it being too like, well, look, it looks like everything looks like a Van Gogh painting or whatever, you know, which would have been shitty. So I thought it was a good depiction, but not like realistic. As you know, doing shrooms is very subjective.
Truly, it is. That's another thing to put on some merch. Doing shrooms is very subjective. So let's chat about some similarities between the films.
That's true. We were put on this green earth for one reason and one reason only: to tell you via podcast that John Landis killed some people with a helicopter crash. Yeah, I guess. Okay, so yeah, murder. I guess both films are shockingly violent late in the film. Like, because it's not obviously the beginning of Midsommar. You're like, because the asphyxiation with the carbon monoxide from the car exhaust and stuff, like that's all really fucked up and weird. But then you're like, okay, this just feels like a domestic drama for a while. Like it's not a horror movie, and then gradually it just like amps itself up. And with Into the Night, it starts as a comedy, not a funny one, but a comedy. And then it just gradually gets more and more violent and fucked up.
There was like a time where in like between the 80s and 90s where comedies were not violent at all. They were just funny.
Yeah. Those are the days.
And then in like sometime in the mid 2000s, there's like this trend of hyper violent comedies or comedies where there's like violent scenes that like are kind of, I guess, so grotesque as to be funny.
Do you have an example?
I think Pineapple Express.
Yeah, That's what I was thinking too.
It's movies that play on genre, usually.
Yeah. Tropic Thunder is kind of...
Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
I think Game Night had some extremely violent moments in it.
Right.
Game Night is pretty funny, but...
What are they doing, though? Are they just illustrating the fact that, like, sort of horror and, like, action and comedy are all the same coin, but just, like, inversions?
I don't know. I think there's a case to be made for comedy and horror having very similar trajectories, I guess it could be said, Right. Like basically just trying to build some sort of tension, be it actual horror tension or comedic tension, that being like you set something up and then you're just waiting for the payoff kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think a well-done horror comedy kind of balances those two things at the exact same time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just interesting when a comedy movie goes for violence.
Yeah.
Into the Night, not so much for comedic impact, though. I think that was the thing that my point was kind of arriving at, maybe, was in more recent years, at least that extreme violence is funny. I guess the Hangover movies, maybe also.
Oh, yeah. That's a good example, especially the later two. Get a little more raunchy and amplified and violent.
Yeah, I guess it's just the extreme raunch plus like extreme violence. It's
extreme
just shocking.
Raunch. You got to dip your veggies in that raunch dip.
Yeah. Good
hey,
stuff.
can I get some raunch for my pizza? I got to dip my pizza in this raunch.
What kind of pizza are you dipping in raunch?
Like a veggie korma.
Nice.
Veggie korma and this raunch dip.
Panago, nice.
Yeah. Shout out to Panago. Not a sponsor, just a fan.
Just a fan of Panago and their veggie korma.
Yeah, but I will say I love me some Domino's because it's way more cost effective.
Mm-hmm.
And they're way more loosey-goosey with discount codes. Dare I say sloppy. Just like you when you're eating the za. I'm getting raunch all over my t-shirt. Damn it. Fuck. Now I got a raunch stain on my jeans.
Oh, I got I got some raunch stains on my gaunch.
Raunch on my gaunch. Nice.
Oh, raunch on my gaunch. There's a shirt.
Oh, yes. Ah, wow. We do good work here.
We do. Oh, great work.
We do
great work.
God's work, dare I say.
Truly. Pod's work.
Yeah, Pod's work. But yeah, you're right. I think it is interesting. Like John Landis. Well, here's the thing. Like both films lean into their genre and just play them very straight. Mm-hmm. Like the horror isn't like spooky, jump out at you horror. It's just like, I'm just going to slowly reveal to you how sadistic and fucked up this situation is. And both films do that. Mm-hmm. They just sort of show you as a matter of fact. They're like, isn't this grisly? Like David Bowie does some gnarly shit in Into the Night. Like he's like a violent character and just like sadistic. And nobody's ever like, oh my God, is that David Bowie? They're just like, wow, who's this vaguely European guy with two colored eyes? He's good with a knife. He puts a gun in Jeff Goldblum's mouth and shit like that,
If it happened nowadays, though, it'd be something very, very violent. Like David Bowie would put a gun in someone's mouth and like blow their head off or whatever, and then the other person would be like, "So that happened,"
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Characters are like that, where they kind of just quip about the horrifying reality that they're experiencing.
Neither film winks at the audience. I think that's what the similarity is. Neither film goes like, Even with all the cameos, they're so like subtle because it's just like, hey, was that so and so? Like it's so quick, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're always doing something. It's like, oh, I'm the guy making the burgers
pasta.
or what the pasta. Yeah. Anyways, do you have another similarity?
Oh yeah, I'd say insomnia is a theme in both films.
Ooh, you're right.
Thing that unifies the two because Jeff Goldblum's character famously just can't get to sleep in Into the Night. Maybe why it's called that. And then, after her entire family dies, it seems like Florence Pugh's character is unable to function properly, and then goes to like sunny Sweden and has to deal with a time zone change. So even if she does eventually sleep during the film,
but not well with
not
nightmares. With nightmares, yeah. If I can like yes and that, I guess both films sort of their protagonist is aimlessly searching for some sort of change without knowing what the answer is, right? Because it's insomnia, but also he's unhappy with his marriage and he's being cheated on.
Exactly.
And she is unhappy because everyone is dead that she ever loved. And she's just making decisions arbitrarily to try to feel better. And they both are. And I guess they're both following their lovers somewhere.
She's following him, but she's also on the run from him, I would say, like in Midsommar, like in that he's like toxic. So she's kind of trapped with him. Like she's trying to escape him, even though she goes with him to Sweden.
Yeah. Well, and both movies have couples playing cat and mouse with each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Like even they could be in the same car, but they're dodging each other, or the same plane, or whatever, and they're dodging each other. Well, because they don't actually, there's shit that is ill-defined or whatever in their relationship.
It's women running from toxic men, or dealing with toxic men, I guess, because she's got her boyfriend guy.
Yeah, that's great.
I guess, both are just kind of as people who are in over their heads. One is being cheated on, and one is on the run from a toxic person. And in the case of Midsommar, that just happens to be the same person, I guess. But, and then at the end, someone is burned alive in a bear suit.
That's right. Well, two huge similarities, right? So a guy in a bear suit is burned alive after taking some crazy drugs in both films. And the other thing is both films have a horrific scene about halfway through the movie that really just changes the tone, where an old Swedish man jumps off a cliff, doesn't die, and then has to get his head smashed in by a giant hammer.
Yeah.
That happens in both films.
Well, also...
and it's fucked.
Going back to the conversation about comedy and horror and violence and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They're both kind of playing against their type at moments. Whether doing it on purpose or not. Like in Into the Night, it's a comedy, but I didn't laugh.
No.
And then in Midsommar, when I saw it in the theater originally, when all that violent stuff happened, when the people jumped off a cliff and smashed their face into the rock, people were laughing.
Well,
and it was almost like played for laughs in a way.
I think the way he does it in Midsommar is like absurd, and deliberately so, especially with how the film is built up to that point. You're like, is this going to get really gnarly or is it not? And then everything turns. Yeah. But yeah, I think he kind of plays it almost for laughs because of how absurdly violent it is.
Yeah.
And especially out of nowhere, like with the slow motion and the everything, it's just fucked.
Yeah. It's wild that we figured out how to pretend to smash someone's face into a rock.
Yeah.
And convince people that it looks so real.
Yeah. It's also, that's somebody's movie magic. Job.
Yeah.
Well, it's like when we had Lindsay on, like somebody's leg and arm was bit off by a giant tooth.
Yeah.
It looked very real.
Yeah.
And Lindsay paid people to do that.
I know.
To make it look like it was for real on camera.
That's magic. That's movie magic.
That is movie magic. Dare I say, that's cinema.
Both films feature super smart people as the main characters.
That's right.
Because Jeff Goldblum's character is an aerospace engineer, and they will not let you forget it throughout the film.
Boy, you got that right. They bring it up often.
And then there's that one scene where he's like talking with his colleagues about aerospace stuff, and they're just talking technical jargon, and it's like impenetrable. And it's like, why even bother with this? Like, we know he's an aerospace engineer. You told us. We don't need to see him doing it. Dumb it down a shade, eggheads.
I would say the one thing about Midsommar that I thought was like weak was the subplot with the master's students fighting over their thesis.
Yeah.
I was like, this is boring and annoying.
It was actually
like, who
stupid.
Cares?
Yeah.
Like it just felt forced.
Yeah.
Like he's like, I just need one more layer of conflict before we get all fucking gnarly. And it just
that
felt
was actually
very
kind of
forced
dumb.
And silly. I was like, this is weak. This is where like I think Hereditary is a better film, a stronger film. And I think like one of the biggest faults of Midsommar is the whole subplot with the master's students fighting with their egos over with their thesis,
So which version did you see? Because there's a 171-minute long director's cut of Midsommar.
I saw the whatever's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's not that one.
Oh, so I saw the short baby one.
apparently in the longer one, they really get into detail about the thesis stuff, and you see the guy writing it, and no, just kidding. I'm just making
oh geez, oh my god! I was like, you're describing my hell.
Yeah, just it's like, oh, we need to really flesh out this thesis writing plot. Yeah, I know. It's like you're having people are dying around you, or you're witnessing people dying, and then after witnessing that, you're like, I should probably get back to thinking about my thesis again.
Yeah.
While I'm in this foreign land where all these scary cult people.
From the get-go, you know they're bad. They're just creeps. Yeah. You just know.
Something that kind of unites both films is like the way that characters deal with traumatic experiences. I mean, an extremely traumatic experience is the inciting incident of Midsommar, where Florence Pugh's character's family dies.
Yeah.
In like a murder-suicide situation.
Yes.
So that's like an inciting incident. But then when they go to Midsommar land, whatever they call it, and then they see all of these people die in front of them in an extremely violent way, the trauma of that is not really played realistically. I don't think so, because that one character is like, I got to write my thesis. I got to get my thesis done. Which is, I guess, kind of interesting that most movies kind of like step over the reality of what trauma characters are going through at all times, because in pretty much every movie, because of the conflict that's happening, unless it's super low stakes, people are traumatized on some level. So just all of the violence in Into the Night, you'd think these characters would be like, I got to get out of here. But they just keep getting deeper and deeper.
I think something you brought up that is interesting is both films have an inciting incident where someone dies. Pretty much out of the gate, right? Because Michelle Pfeiffer's with that one dude and he dies. And that's kind of what sets everything off. And then obviously with Florence Pugh's character's family, that's like another inciting incident. So they both of these films are very grisly.
Yeah.
And like morbid. And I didn't even realize.
But most movies, the characters don't react normally to how someone would probably react, just because the movie has to keep going. Like if in every horror movie when you watched your friend die, you'd be a wreck for the rest of the film. But the characters just kind of like be like, oh no, this guy died. Can you believe the reality of this horror film we're in? This guy is chasing us, and he's like has a funny mask on, and there's all these rules that we have to follow. And then they just kind of go, they're like, let's have sex after we just had someone we know die.
Your horniest post spooky.
That's
another
piece. Another quote for our shirt.
You watch a Midsommar and you're like, wow, this is setting the mood for some kinky business. You're not walking away from that film nauseous. You're walking away horny.
Interesting. Are you speaking from experience here? Your horniest?
I don't know. I've never seen the film. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Anyways, do you have any more?
The only one I had was that both kind of had unnecessary nudity in them.
Right.
Well, there was some necessary nudity in Midsommar, but
I would say the nudity was like very tasteful in Midsommar, but in fucking End of the Night, it's just like, okay, it's the 80s.
Yeah, exactly.
This is status quo for the 80s comedy, like R-rated comedy.
Well, the big sex scene, he didn't have to have all of those naked people around him while he was having sex with that lady.
That's true, but I think the reason the nudity is like cool is that they're all just like normal older ladies. They're not just like all, whereas like Into the Night, it's like, oh, only fit people can be naked in this movie.
Yeah, but also when I saw Midsommar, people laughed at the nudity.
Oh, really?
Because I think
it's absurd.
It was an absurd situation, and I think the normality of the people's bodies also was like funny to people. I think.
Yeah. Well, they're not used to that, right? Because it's not normalized in North American cinema. Yeah, like North American cinema, you sort of have to be a very specific body type to be naked on camera, which is stupid and I think changing. But yeah. And like, 1980s comedies are a good example of like, you kind of got to be hot to be naked in this movie, okay?
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, the way that people reacted at the screening of Midsommar I saw way back when it came out, definitely not an objective take on the film.
Yeah.
That was that specific screening. Maybe other people reacted differently to other ones, but just kind of interesting. How people react to the extreme violence and the normal bodied nudity.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that people who are super fit are not normal bodied.
No, they're freaks.
We don't want them to feel, shamed for having perfect bodies.
Screw you and your tight chassis. Go to hell. That's what I say. Great. Well, this feels over.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I guess it does. This feels over for sure. So
nice.
Yeah, we can.
More
end
hurtful
this
when you say it. I don't know why.
Why? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just because
it's like more abrupt I'm
done talking to this guy.
Yeah. It's like I'm done with you, Bob. I'm gonna discard you like a Swedish sacrifice. I'm gonna put you in a bear suit, wrap you up, give you some hallucinogenics, and light you on fire. Because I'm finished with you. I'm gonna burn you like a cigarette.
I'm gonna throw you in a bin full of dirty clothes because I got some raunch on my gaunch. So you're my gaunch, my raunchy gaunch.
Yeah, that's right. You're the raunch on my gaunch.
That actually would make an amazing T-shirt. It says from Justin DeCane, has our little logo, and then it says raunch on my gaunch.
Yeah,
it's got a picture of underwear with like ranch dressing spilling on it.
Yeah.
Or
what about this? We should change our logo to a dog drinking ranch out of a dog dish.
Yes.
Huh? Just a canine bit.
Because canines love ranch. Thanks everybody for listening. Follow us on social media from Justin Duquesne with the number 2. Email us at fromjustinduquesne@gmail.com, all words. And that's about it. I don't know. Listen to all of our past episodes. Why not? Huh?
Everything you just said on a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Boom. The perfect gift for your loved ones this coming Christmas.
Well, all this information is in like the show notes or whatever on the podcast app. So if people really wanted to find this out,
our listeners can't read because they're dogs. Okay.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they're illiterate. They can listen, but they can't speak and they can't read.
They can really listen. They've got great hearing.
Yeah, great hearing, great sniffers.
Actually, no, we should be playing a frequency during every one of our podcasts is that only
like
dogs
a dog
can
whistle.
Hear.
Yeah,
that'd be great. Maybe I'm gonna start doing that going forward when I edit these.
That's hilarious. That's great. That's great.
And then just people are like, "Stop doing that." My dog is freaking out. I'm trying to listen to the podcast in the car, and the dog is freaking out.
I used to listen to your podcast until you put that dog whistle in it, and screw you guys.
And then also, I put a dog whistle in just as a fun like meta joke. Then you put dog whistles in for all of your racism.
Wait, what?
Okay, bye everybody.
Ay.